Imagine you go up to a girl, you talk to her, she rejects you, and then she goes, tells her friend, he was such a creep, and you hear that. For most guys, this is one of the biggest fears and biggest nightmare scenarios, is to be labeled and called a creep by a woman. And what is interesting, that a lot of guys think that they are called creep because of their looks, because of their height, because of their race, because of their hair. But the thing is that you can be good looking and you can still be called a creep. You can be tall and still be called a creep. You can still be any race, still be called a creep. So this is nothing to do with whether or not women will label you a creep or not. In this video, I will talk about then what is actually the definition and what is the cause of them labeling you a creep. We'll take a look at this here, and then we'll talk about how to actually do it the right way so you're not labeled a creep by women. So, first of all, whenever you go, this is you, by the way, I know my drawing is not the best, so this is you and this is a girl. Whenever you go and talk to the girl, there will be essentially two ways that she can label you. She can label you confident, charming, charismatic guy, or she can label you a creep. And of course, those are the two extremes, and you can have everything in the middle, but unfortunately, most guys, they're gonna live somewhere here. The reason that I'm showing you this is that for you to understand that you want to be moving here. And we're gonna talk about how to actually move towards confident, charming, charismatic without me telling you be confident, charming, and charismatic. And now let's talk about the actual definition. So the way I have defined being called a creep, and I think in the situations where I've seen this happens, the reason that happens is because of incongruence, and incongruence between different things. So thoughts, words, energy, and actions. So let me repeat that again. So thoughts, words, energy, and actions. And it's all due to incongruence. So there's the mismatch between all these four things. And now actually let's take a look at the most interesting part of this whole graph, which is here. So pay close attention. So here I have thoughts, words, energy, and actions. And you essentially can have two limits, so two polarities. So thoughts, you can have shame versus acceptance. Words, you can have hidden versus honest. Energy, you have tense versus relaxed. And actions, impotent versus bold. And let's actually take a look at each of what does each of those mean. So thoughts, shame, that would mean that you're ashamed to talk to a girl. So we discussed in other videos, you think that talking to women, that's shameful and that shouldn't happen. While acceptance, like you just accept it as a normal thing, normal way of life. Words, hidden versus honest. So hidden means you go up to a girl and instead of directly flirting with her and letting her know that you like her, you start talking about weather, or you're essentially hiding your intent. And honest would be just telling or letting a girl know that you like her as a romantic potential connection. Energy, quite self-explanatory, you're super tense. And relaxed is you're calm and relaxed. And actions, impotent versus bold. Well, impotent is you're actually not talking to women at all, you're just not doing anything. And bold is you actually go and try to interact with them. What is interesting is that if you are all on the left side, so you have shame, hidden, tense, and impotent, then girls actually will not label you a creep. They'll just label you a loser because you're not taking any action. But the problem becomes is guys start to then move towards the right stage, which is good, right? Like you want to move to the right stage. So first you would move here, right? The actions would move from impotent to bold. So now, instead of just sitting at home, you're like, okay, I'm actually going to go out of my house. I'm going to try to interact with a girl. And you go and interact with the girl. So your action by definition is bold, but you have a lot of shame. You're not showing intent and you're super tense. And that's when girls will label you a creep, right? This is a classic example of a lot of nerdy guys. They feel they watch some of these videos and they haven't really done that much approaching and they have a lot of shame, they're super nervous, and then they just go with their drink in their hands like, hey, and a lot of times girls can label you a creep because of the incongruency, right? So that's the first stage. So you're moving with actions and now you move words. So you go and talk to a girl and you tell a girl that you're attractive, you're hot, right? Like you go and do that. Now, here, the words, you're being honest with the fact that you like her. You're like, oh my God, you're so beautiful, blah, blah, blah. And you're also, being bold by the fact that you are taking an action of talking to a girl. But your energy, you're very tense. Most of you guys are super tense. And also you have a lot of shame about talking to a girl. And a good example is a guy in a club or in a bar buying girls drinks and telling them that they're super amazing and beautiful, but being very nervous and not really being calm, and then asking them to go home with them. And obviously in this case, a lot of girls would label you a creep. Because again, not because of some magical thing, it's just because there's a lot of incongruency going on. So that's words. The next stage is then guys moving with energy. So here, you move and you become relaxed, and this is already much better because you're almost all the way to the right, but still, you have shame about what you're doing. You still, mindset-wise, you are still not fully accepted the fact that talking to women is good, it's attractive, it's something normal that you should be doing. So you are still feeling shame. And what happens here is that you might have mostly good interactions, but then for some reason, one girl says something negative or gives you a bad reaction, and then your state goes down, and then you might either have a few negative reactions as a result of that, or just go home and potentially go back to being impotent and not take action because you have this shame. So that is the energy, and the final thing that you have to fix then is the thoughts, right? So this is a process, and the thoughts is probably the hardest thing to fix because, as with everything starts with the mind, and the mindset is one of the hardest things to fix with this, but that's usually the process. So you start from the left side, you start with nothing, and then you have actions, words, energy, and thoughts. And then as you move towards here, acceptance with your thoughts, honesty with your words, relax with your energy, and bold with your actions, then you become congruent on the other side. Now, you might be asking, well, why does this matter? Like, why is it so bad that you have this incongruence? Why do women label me a creep? Like, what does this even mean? So the fact that this happens is because our brain has evolved to detect threats through inconsistency, right? If you look at biology, if there's something inconsistent, something doesn't stick, you're like, okay, there might be something going on. So we're literally we're raised to detect threats in the environment by some inconsistencies. When you're being on the left side and on the right side, you have some things on the left side and some things on the right side, you're sending conflicting social signals. And these social signals raise some inconsistencies in the girl's mind. And if you know anything about the brain, you have different parts of the brain, and this inconsistency fires up the amygdala, right? And amygdala is the fear response part of the brain. And once you fire that up, then girls, they start seeing you as a threat, right? And when they see you as a threat, that's when they call you a creep. It's not really like being a creep. It's obviously an emotionally charged word, but you can just exchange it with a threat. Like, they don't feel safe around you. You can think of it as whenever time a girl calls you like, oh, you're being a creep, it's just like, well, I don't feel safe around this guy. He is potentially a threat. But obviously they don't think of it this way. They don't think like, oh, well, this guy's firing up my amygdala, so I'm gonna call him a threat. Culturally, they just evolved to call you a creep. But that's all it means, is that they don't feel safe. And so what you wanna do then is, obviously, as you move towards the right, then you can display consistency in your behavior and consistency in the social signals that you send. And because of that, women will then not feel like you're a threat. They'll feel like you're a safe guy. And when you make them comfortable, even if they're not attracted to you, they will never call you a creep because you're not a threat. You're just a guy. They can friend zone you. And this is another topic, right? Like, now in this video, we're discussing how not to be a threat, how not to be a creep. So once you move past here, then that's how you eliminate the potential feeling for the girl, you being a threat. Now, how do you actually do this? Because it is quite difficult, and A lot of you guys might be thinking, yeah, well, it's nice, but how do I, accept my thoughts? How do I train myself to have honest communication with women and show intent? How do I have this relaxed energy? And how do I take bold actions? Well, it's all through reference experience, right? And reference experience is essentially real events that either proves that the fear isn't real, because a lot of you guys, you're fearing rejection. You might be even fearing the fact that you might be called a creep, which is in itself is not a good fear. Like, you got to let go of that fear and just take action. So that proves that fear isn't real, or the desire is possible. So it's possible to achieve your desire. So with women, it's possible to go and interact with them and then be attracted to you. Because a lot of you watching this video, you might not have enough reference experiences for you to think, okay, I can be attracted to women. Women can actually find me attractive. Women, when I go and talk to them, they can laugh and they can have fun with me, and we can even kiss or maybe have sex. A lot of you have problems believing that because you don't have reference experiences. This is super, super important. So pay attention to this, because most guys, they're stuck not because of lack of knowledge, but because of lack of proof, right? They don't have enough proof in their mind, in their brain, that they can be attracted to women. And this is why a lot of you guys, you are watching a lot of videos and you're like, man, I mean, technically I know what I should do, but I'm not able to do it. What's going on? And the problem is that it's not like you don't lack knowledge, you don't lack theory. All of you, I mean, my audience especially, you're all smart, logical guys, you're smart guys, but what you lack is not the knowledge, but you lack the proof, the reference experience proof that this is possible for you guys. So there's 3 ways you get there, right? Like, obviously, number 1 is you earn it, right? Like, years and years of practice. You can borrow it by, first of all, watching videos like this, and also being in close proximity to guys like me. And number 3 is you can actually do both. So you can borrow it and earn it at the same time. And that's exactly what my mentorship is about. So in my mentorship, I teach guys how to take all the different actions of going and talking to women and pushing them in these interactions to get over their fear. And that way I can give them my reference experience through the calmness of my voice. And also because they're talking to women in real life themselves, they can get positive reference experiences. And the best way I could illustrate this is like VC funding, right? Like, you can obviously start a company, you can bootstrap a company and not get any funding, but a lot of times it's going to be a lot slower because you have to get profits, and then with those profits you reinvest and can hire a team. But it takes some time. While most highest growing companies, they're usually VC funded because they can just get the money and immediately get access to big talent pools, and they can just grow much faster. And it's exactly the way that progress works when you get a good mentor and mentorship, because literally you can borrow their reference experiences through their calmness and them instilling you positive beliefs about you talking to women. And because of it, they can also push you to take action. They can tell you the right things to say, and they can help you earn these experiences much, much faster than you would do without this process. If you've been stuck with this problem for a while, and if you have a big fear of being called a creep, and if this has happened a lot of times, then my mentorship might be a good fit for you. You can check out the page in the description. It has a lot of different student testimonials and stories, and you can check out how that process works. And if this is something you'd like to get better at, then check out that page, book a call to speak with me, and we can see how to improve your skills with women so you're never called a creep ever again.